The best of the Two Ronnies is available in takeaway form on a BBC video cassette, and they return on BBC2 at the same time next Monday with special guest Elton John. The Young Ones from the channel that brought you Civilization.
All right, what's the stair carpet doing on the fire?
Burning! What's it look like?
Oh, so you're burning the stair carpet, are you, Vivian? Well, perhaps I'm being terribly old-fashioned.
Rick, where'd you find all that firewood? We're all completely broke, so we've got to make sacrifices. I myself have generously donated my used tissue collection. And Vivian has burnt everything near owns.
The Young Ones tomorrow at 9. Well, no age limit for the 9 o'clock news, which is just about to start on BBC One, and followed at 9:25 by International Professional Boxing, a recording of last night's encounter between Frank Bruno and the aptly named James Bone Crusher Smith. Here on 2, a new series of Third Eye starts in half an hour with a personal inside view of Namibia. But now the programme that defies definition, Call My Bluff.
Hello again. This is Call My Bluff, the thinking man's crown and anchor, with, of course, Frank Muir.
Both my guests tonight are on the programme for the first time, which is nice. And my first guest keeps falling asleep. But I don't think it's the company. It just happens that she works in BBC Breakfast Television, and it's newsreader and presenter Debbie Ricks. My second guest, it'd be rather interesting to see how we do this side of the house, because my second guest is last year's British and international mastermind, Christopher Hughes.
And crying ha-ha among the trumpets, Arthur Marshall. There he goes.
Good evening. For many years now, I've been an admirer of the wonderful wireless program Woman's Hour, and I'm sure you have too. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce one of its most distinguished editresses, Win Knowles. And I'm very happy to find myself with my old teammate, the admirable Ian Ogilvy.
Another word from our horde, and that word is rubber-boo, if I pronounce it correctly. So Frank Muir and his team will define rubber-boo 3 different ways. 2 of the definitions, no good. 1, okay. That's the one that Arthur and co try and pick out. So rubber-boo to you, Frank.
I can't think what gave them the idea, but in the 1900s, rubber-boo was an American trade name for a children's rubber boot. It was a kind of half Wellington for toddlers. And if you have about your person, or in your reticule, a Sears and Roebuck catalogue of 1903, certainly, you'll find that you could buy a rubber boo, black only, choice of 3 sizes, for $1.05.
Yeah. A single titter. Just a single one from Arthur, but well merited, yes. Christopher Hughes now tells us.
Well, rubber-boo is a singularly repulsive form of meat porridge that used to be prepared by the American Plains Indians. What they did was to take pemmican, which was their own form of dried biltong, if you like. It's basically old buffalo meat sewn up in leather and sealed with gum and left for several years to mature. Take this pemmican and boil it in water with maize and ladle it out to the braves when they came back from last week's war party.
Braves they would be. Braves they would be. Debbie, your turn.
A rubber-boo is an Australian word.
Let me guess.
A rather outdated word now, similar to spit and sawdust, i.e. a beer bar, something we'd call a spit and sawdust in this country, they call a rubber-boo. And in fact, it's mentioned in a novel of the 20s, an Australian novel, and I quote, Coming down to the Rubber Boo, Jim? Nah, I'm giving the ops a miss till tomorrow.
Stunned them into
Yes,
silence.
no,
Well done.
They're very excellently well done. It's a tiny weeny welly. It's a bar, as described, and it's meat gruel eaten by the brave, or indeed the braves, I should say. Arthur, your choice?
Hang on.
Certainly.
No, I don't think it is.
I say you're going pell-mell there.
Well, there we are. Now then, I thought someone was going to burst into Australia any minute with Rubber Boo. And it may well be this bar or whatever it was, but I don't think so. Christopher, your Indian meat porridge sounded simply revolting. But of course it may well be that. But on the whole, the Americans go in for such ghastly names, and Rubber Boo is being shortened for Rubber Boot, and trade name for wellies and Sears and Roebuck. Frank, I go for your trade name for wellies.
That's what he said. Rubber Boo was a welly. He said, true or bluff?
Boo.
Nothing there, nothing whatever. We absolutely insist on knowing who gave the true definition of Rubber Boo. Someone's got it. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Dreadful.
There it is, well done. Yes, indeed. It is meat gruel eaten by the Indians on the plains and thereabouts. Tom Trot's the next word, or next two words, really. Tom Trot. Arthur.
A tom trot is a Caribbean name for a particularly large barrel with a capacity of 4 hogsheads. And I don't need to remind you that 4 hogsheads works out as 52 imperial pints. And as it's Caribbean, you may well follow that it's used for transporting and storing rum. And the Royal Navy is well conversant with tom trots, because the rum ration used, when they were in the Caribbean, used to be ladled out from a tom trot in the days when they had a lovely rum ration. Now been stopped, I gather.
Sorry, sir. Just one... how much did it hold?
4 hogsheads, which, as you will well know, is 52 imperial gallons.
52.
You said pints first time, but I know what you meant. I know what you meant.
It's imperial gallons is what I mean.
52 imperial gallons.
He's only trying to throw you,
No.
Arthur.
Okay.
He's trying to
What
tread on
happened to
your
the
heel.
rest of the hogs? Once the heads
Oh,
went
shut up.
I think I'm going to pass
Shut
to
up.
Ian Ogilvie and ask him
Do you
what he
understand?
thinks.
Yes, well, if I was an early Victorian father and I had a child who was horrid and beastly and badly behaved, and I'd invited Granny to tea, and during the course of this tea, this child began to rub butter in Granny's hair, I might lean forward and I might say, Francis, if you don't stop rubbing butter in Granny's hair, Tom Trot will get you. At which point, with any luck, the little beast would run out of the room screaming, full of neuroses and traumas, because Tom Trot was an early Victorian bogeyman with which he used to frighten impressionable and nasty children.
Yea, verily. Well. Win Knowles, her turn.
Well, if you make homemade toffee, perhaps for Christmas or whatever, you might know this name. It's a nickname in the North Country for a special kind of homemade toffee that's rather like spaghetti. When it's cooling, you spin it right out, and it dries like that. And this is what it's called. And if you happen to know Benjamin Disraeli's novel, Coningsby, the young Oswald, the Lancashire lad, used to complain quite a lot about having too much tom trot.
So it's sort of toffee spaghetti, it seems, a barrel holding hogshead after hogshead. And it's bogeyman, Victorian bogeyman. Frank, your choice?
Hello, good evening. Just to gain time, that's all. It can't be the Caribbean barrel. 52 imperial gallons, enormous. You couldn't ladle.
I think he
grog
meant
out of it.
pints. Well, I don't know.
He said gallons, Mr. Robinson.
He said pints first go off, didn't he?
Gallons is what I meant.
Well, there we go. Victorian bogeyman or northern toffee? That's the question. We're slightly divided on this side of the house, but I'm going for the... I don't know what I'm going... the northern toffee.
The northern toffee. Win Knowles said that. True or bluff? There somewhere. Was she teasing? No, no! A bullseye. Veritable bullseye. So, there, that's what it does mean. It's the toffee, the spaghetti, stringy sort of toffee. Piddick is the next word, and Christopher Hughes will tell you about it.
Well, a piddick, actually, is a small disc of metal with the name of a fruit merchant stamped on one side and either 1 penny, 3pence or 6pence stamped on the other side. In the old days at Covent Garden Market, the porters were all self-employed, and the merchants would pay the porters out with piddicks, which at the end of the day they would take to the market superintendent's office, and cash, the market superintendent regaining his cash by obviously selling the piddicks back to the merchants. It's a form of wage token at the old Covent Garden Market.
Right enough. Now Debbie Rix's turn.
The Sussex piddick, or should I say Pholus dactylus, to give it its proper term, is a mollusk. It's a bivalve mollusk, i.e. two-sided, like a limpet, and it's oval in shape, and it burrows into the rock in soft rock, like places like Beachy Head, and fishermen then go and dig it out and use it as bait.
All right, good. And now, what does Frank Muir tell us?
Our piddick's pretty. Our piddick's nice. Piddick's Herefordshire. And it's, I thought I'd mention that because the accent doesn't match the clue.
I was wondering, thank heaven, yes.
I have a total out-of-London accent, which does the rest of the country. And Piddickshire, it's the centre of a harvest festival. And it's a farm cart laden with the last stooks of corn which were harvested, and they're piled up in the piddick, and it's drawn round, hey, and all is safely gathered in is chanted, and we all have a wonderful time. Apple cider.
Let me, right, I'll just run through them again. It's a sort of farm cart at harvest time in Mummerset. It's a sort of limpet, and it's a token for money, a sort of, yes. Ian's choice.
Yes. Well, do you want to leave it to me?
You're on your own,
well, I
master.
always get it wrong, but never mind. This mollusk, well, you talked about it being bivalve, like a limpet. Now, I don't think limpets are bivalves, which means that somebody's gone wrong there. So I don't think it's the mollusk at all. The cart, the Harvest Festival cart.
Go on, do your worst.
I don't think that they call it anything. I don't think they just call it a cart, wouldn't they? I don't think. So I come down to Christopher's disc of metal, although why they just can't give them the money for straight off and not bother with this middleman, I have no idea. But this is what I'm going to say. I think it's this metal disc for the porters at Covent Garden.
Well, yes, that's what he said it was, Christopher. True or bluff? No. Why, indeed, wouldn't they give them the money straight away? I suppose they did. But who gave the true definition of this word? It's there somewhere. You see.
Oh, I see.
There. Don't know about the number of valves, but it's certainly that sort of a mollusk. Anyway, just as Debbie said. Brockum is the next word. Ian Ogilvy's turn.
Yes, well, a brockum is a collar. It's a made-to-measure collar, a very exactly made-to-measure collar, but unlike these things that we're all wearing, it's very strong, it's padded, it's probably made of, a lot of it's leather, because it's used to pull enormously heavy weights, and this made-to-measure collar is in fact for cart horses, and because they have to pull these enormous carts and drays full of beer, the thing has to fit very well round their necks. And all self-respecting cart horses have made-to-measure collars, and it's called a brockum.
Be good in Herefordshire for the Harvest Festival.
Very good. Pull the piddick.
Let's ask Wynne now, it's your turn.
Well, brockum is a name given by Cumberland miners to a certain kind of geological conglomerate. And by that I mean that various fragments of gravel have been cemented together with limestone to make this natural formation a composite rock.
Right enough. Now, Arturo.
A brockum, like a water bailiff, and Wickham's fancy, and a Maisie Hampton, is a kind of fisherman's fly. And it's very popular.
Do you mean... No, you wouldn't. No.
I continue. And it's very popular with anglers on the River Test in Hampshire. And it's a sort of bluey black colour underneath with a rather fascinating little red top knot. And it's very, very popular with the brown trout in the river test until they find out what it is. Then it's not popular at all. Fishing fly.
So it's a fishing fly. It's gravelly sort of accumulation of rock, and it's a horse